This episode is brought to you by Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+. Rated TV MALV. Viewer discretion advised. Maya Lopez has betrayed her mentor, the notorious Kingpin. Now on the run, she returns to her hometown to prepare for the biggest fight of her life. Don't miss Marvel Studios' hardest-hitting series yet. An epic 5-episode event. Marvel Studios Echo. All episodes streaming January 9th, only on Hulu and Disney+.
Join me, 48 Hours correspondent Erin Moriarty, on my podcast, My Life of Crime, as I take on true crime investigations like no other. This season, I'm looking into the labyrinth of crime and secrets within families. I'm cutting straight to the evidence and talking to the people directly involved, including investigators and the families of victims. Listen to My Life of Crime with Erin Moriarty wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey, Cricket customers, Max with ads is included with your Cricket $60 unlimited plan at no additional cost. Nice! Max is the streaming platform where you can watch Scoob, Meg 2 The Trench, The Nightmare on Elm Street collection, and so much more. Remember me. Just log in with your Cricket username and password to experience Max on all your favorite devices.
We've never seen this before.
Max, the one to watch for a good scream with Cricket. Phone plan streams in standard definition. Programming subject to change. Fees, terms, and restrictions apply. See cricketwireless.com for details.
Hey y'all, I'm April.
And I'm Caroline.
And
This is your Bloody Happy Hour.
Caroline, are you ready for this?
This is your newest guilty pleasure.
It's the bloodiest part of your week.
Did we say something about it also being happy hour?
Show did.
Because we about to be sipping on some murder. Bloody happy hour.
All right. Hey y'all, it's Thursday. This is April.
This is Caroline.
And it's Bloody Happy Hour time. We hope that you are ready for this crazy month.
I'm drinking a big chunk of ice over here.
Yeah, I don't even.
Wouldn't fit in my cup.
So
Get your drinks ready because we got some crazy mamas coming up.
it's a whole month of crazy mamas, which means there's going to be some sad stories with it because it's going to probably be some kids.
But we're going to try to
killed.
make it a little light, maybe have a little jokes here and there.
I
No,
mean,
I
always.
don't know.
That's what we always do.
Okay.
Oh, let's talk about the crazy mom that's been in the news lately.
We're not talking about Amber Heard, are we?
Is she a mama?
She either adopted a baby or she used all of Johnny Depp's money to have her the in vitro thing or surrogate or something, but she definitely used all of Johnny Depp's money to pay for her last 3 years of her life. Proved in court today.
Oh, okay.
What?
Okay.
Was he knocking on the window? He always tried to interrupt us.
Is it working? Are we working?
Oh.
I was actually talking about the Melissa Lucio mom that's been in the news. I don't know how you haven't heard of this.
I've not heard of her. I haven't been watching the Amber Heard trial.
Uh-huh.
No, I haven't been paying attention to that.
You've
for
obviously been watching only that. She's a
just
Texas mom.
So is Amber. Well, she's from Austin.
Oh, yeah. I did see a little bit of that.
She was diagnosed with having borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder.
Oh, my gosh. Casey's got to come on and tell us about all of that.
I know.
I did see, though, I've not been watching it at all, but I did see that people are calling her Amber Turd all over Facebook. So I figured
she's not getting many fans at all. And there was this one really, really good psychologist that testified. She was really hot. And she was just super smart and super well-spoken. She had a great presence. She was engaging with the jury and would smile while you talk.
Yeah.
She was just she blew everybody away.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
Well,
I'll send you some clips.
She probably should have helped Melissa Lucio in her first case. But really quick, Melissa Lucio had 12 kids.
Excuse me?
And she was pregnant with 2.
12?
12.
Did she have them vaginally?
Yes.
Did I just say vaginally?
I mean, I don't know if she had them out of her JJ, but she had them.
I don't know if she adopted or
nope.
picked them up.
No.
Maybe they were crossing over.
She was Catholic.
Like the border. I don't know. People have been doing that now.
And she was a horrible mom.
Yeah. Okay.
She lived in an apartment. How do you live in an apartment with 12 kids? There's no 17-bedroom apartments. And then she had a live-in boyfriend, and this little girl, 2-year-old girl, was dead and trauma to the head. Well, mom went to jail for capital murder, but there was no evidence that she actually did anything to like make the kid die. She just was guilty of neglect. So that's why I believe she got to stay, because they don't think that she got a fair trial, that people just saw she's a Mexican mom that had too many kids. She had drug issues. She was a shitty mom, and a kid ended up dead under her care, not by her hands, but by, I think, indirectly.
Oh, so she indirectly broke her arm. She indirectly got cigarettes put on. I don't know. I made that part up. Did she get cigarettes put on her face?
She indirectly, because she didn't watch her kid. Her kid fell down the stairs, and her kid died.
Oh, okay. Well, that happens a lot. But,
yeah. So we'll see where that goes.
So people are pissed, though. That she got
I'm
to
sure
stay.
there's a lot of moms out there that are like,
or what do you think? Do you know about the case?
I was listening to a podcast, but she was a shitty mom. I mean, a shitty mom. She didn't need all these kids. There was no food, and there was not enough food in the house.
Like, how do you pay for it? Because if you adopt the kids, you at least get like money, I think, from monthly money.
No, she didn't adopt them. She had them all. They were all her biological kids that she either had a C-section or had out of her JJ.
Well, so that's what I was saying. Like, if they were adopted, you would get money from that somehow. I don't know how adoption really works. I just know it from this case because they talked about if you have adopted kids, then you typically get money from the government somehow.
I think they just get free education. When you're foster care, you get money. But once you adopt them, you pay people to adopt the kids. You lose out on that money.
So, yeah, so it's like, how are you making enough money to keep all these kids? 12? They're clearly not going.
That's why there's no food in the house. There was only food for one person, not even one person to have a meal.
What did she look like?
Oh, I don't know what she looked like back then, but I'm pretty sure she ate all the food.
She ate all the, she got McDonald's
her
and she ate all the nuggets. She didn't give them any French fries. They had to go eat the grass.
Oh, so sad.
Well, good thing she got to stay. Way to go.
It's her kids, actually, that she neglected that have been advocating for her. One of her sons that's like really trying to keep his mom alive. And then I was like, was it the son that pushed the kid down the stairs? And so she knows. That's where my mind goes. Sorry, y'all. I don't know about. He just may be a good son.
I don't know.
Can you tell them what you are going to talk about today?
Well, today is the Hart family murders. Have you heard of it? Besides the fact that I might have said this is the case I'm doing today.
I think I've heard a podcast a long time ago, if it's the one that I'm thinking about.
Okay. Well, it starts off, we're going to go back to 2014. So there was a protest because there had been this, a Michael Brown. Do you remember that name? This was in Ferguson, Missouri, and he was shot and killed 6 times by a police officer. And so this killing ignited this outrage and unrest. Like, I don't remember this. It's 2014, which I don't know.
Yeah.
But it reminded me a lot of like what's been going on in the past couple of years.
Yeah.
So there's all this outrage, there's unrest. This led to a week of protests, and they're protesting against police brutality. And apparently these protesters, they're chanting, hands up, don't shoot, which apparently were Michael's last words or final words.
Okay.
So there's this protest, and then it's like they're becoming violent protests. They're shown on the news, and like everybody's shocked about all the brutality that's happening. There's like heavy militarized response. Like they have tanks out there, and they're like, do you remember? I don't know. But apparently these tactics, everybody's like, oh my gosh, they have these tanks. They're not afraid to use these tanks. Yeah. And this is just crazy. So this all leads to an investigation into police officer Darren Wilson's actions. But on November 24th, St. Louis County grand jury does not indict Darren Wilson for Michael Brown's murder. And people are outraged. And the protests start back up. And this time it's all across the nation. So in Portland, Oregon, November 25th, there's a Black Lives Matter protest, and 12-year-old Devonte Hart was there, and he's wearing a sign around his neck that says "Free Hugs."
Okay.
So Sergeant Brett Barnum with the Portland Police Department, who is working the protest, he sees Devonte's sign, he points to him, and he says, like, "Hey, can I have one of those? Like a hug?" And so Devonte, like, appears because there's a photograph captured. He appears to be like emotional and he's crying. And so then they embrace in a hug. And then a photographer there captures this moment in a photo because he knew this was a powerful moment because this is a white American police officer hugging a Black American little boy. Yeah. So he sold his picture to the Oregonian, and then it immediately went viral. It's like shown all over the news, the Today Show. It's all over social media, just shared everywhere. So the Oregonian then asks Devonte why he was giving away free hugs at the protest. And he says that he's trying to show peace and that there was a different way to handle it. So while Devonte's intentions as a 12-year-old boy were very noble, of course, you're going to have your critics. And this fun little word, propaganda, pops up. And they start to distract from the real issue, which is, constant and unprosecuted murder of unarmed Black citizens by the police. And then it's like they're writing about all these things, and there's just... This photo draws positive and negative attention. And so Jennifer Hart, one of Devonte's moms, tells the Oregonian that their family has been receiving death threats. And so they start limiting their time in public in order to keep a low profile. Okay. So, but at this point this is the exact opposite of what Jen and her wife Sarah had been doing with their kids on social media. So now let me tell you about the Hart family.
Okay.
That was our intro. So Jennifer Hart and Sarah Gangler, they're both originally from South Dakota. They meet in college and they both transfer to Northern State University. They're both studying to become teachers, but only Jen graduates, and both of their careers are officially over in 2002. However, while they're at Northern State University, while they're dating, Jen and Sarah, they just told people that they were roommates or that they were like really good friends, but they eventually decided to come out as lesbians.
Okay.
Well, when they revealed their relationship, they were met with a lot of bigotry. They lost a bunch of friends. Because it's 2002, gay marriage is not legal at this point.
Yeah, okay.
So, and then Jen says, like, the Midwestern mindset was relentless, and they were unforgiving and unaccepting. So then in 2004, they moved to Alexandria, Minnesota. And they both worked in the same department store. And Jen, let me tell you their personalities. Jen is the one who's the more dominant one. So she wears the strap on.
She's the strap on.
Yeah. Okay. So Jen is the dominant one. She's a big personality. She liked to be in control, and she was not afraid to let her voice be heard.
Okay.
And Sarah was seen as more sensitive and passive. Okay.
She's a taker.
Yeah. So, like I said, this was before same-sex marriage was legalized. And then when it's in 2005, and Sarah goes to court and she changes her last name legally to Hart. She's the one who's the taker.
Okay.
She's going to take that name.
Okay.
So that summer, Jen and Sarah decide that they want to become foster parents. So they end up taking a 16-year-old girl. So this girl later, whenever she was an adult, she was interviewed by the Seattle Times. She asked to remain anonymous, and she kind of chimes in the story. But she there's no name, so she's just the foster girl.
Do we know if she's a black girl too? Do they get all black kids?
They do, but I don't know why I'm picturing that she's a white girl.
Okay.
And this may be why they get rid of her. I mean, I don't know.
Okay.
That's in my head. So this girl, like, later was interviewed. She was remaining anonymous. She said that as a teen, she had been, let me tell you, difficult to control. She skipped school and she snuck out with friends in the middle of the night. It's normal teenage life. What?
Yeah.
So she wasn't happy in her old foster home, so she was placed with the Harts. So she was like ready to make a new start. Then the first 6 months go well. And she does notice that Sarah's like the quieter of the two and that Jen is more like outgoing, but she's also moodier.
Okay.
We don't like Jen. Well, we don't like either one of them. But they all live in this 2-story house. They have a dog and several cats.
Oh.
First red flag right there.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, should have known.
And now a word from our sponsors.
What's your emergency?
Do you hear that? It's coming from the house.
It's coming from inside the house? Do you mean? Could it be?
The Poltergeist. New from Rogue Media. 2 haunted hotties talking about haunted places. Every episode, we dive deep into the darkest places and give you a bit of history.
We're getting spooky in all the right places.
You've gobbled your last ghoul.
Follow along for the craziest and spookiest stories with Debbie's Dark Tourism. The Stanley Hotel,
Winchester House,
The Alamo,
Hotel Monte Vista,
and more spooky places. Find us at _Poltergals. POLTERGALS.
Look over your shoulder. It's us,
The Poltergals. Wherever you consume the podcast, you can find us there.
Hi, this is Sarah.
And I'm Carter.
And this is Some of Our Thoughts.
We're 2 Southern sommeliers, and we want to share everything we love and know about wine. We started hanging out during quarantine and cooking and drinking and listening to music, and we just thought this would be a great way to bring everything we know to you guys.
We will make wine knowledge and food pairings easy and approachable. So put on your favorite vinyl, grab your favorite glass of wine, tune into our show, and let's have some fun.
Wine and vinyl. So check us out on roguemedianetwork.com or wherever you get your favorite podcast. We'll be talking about a lot.
Welcome to One Star Rewind, a new podcast about those dreaded 1-star reviews that every business owner hates to receive, but yet every customer loves to read. During this podcast, we will peel back that 1-star review to better understand how it happened, when it happened, and what the business owner is doing after receiving that 1-star review. This podcast will be about love, hate, and laughter. On One Star Rewind, we will meet with real business owners who will tell their stories and how they do rely on reviews for their business. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or download us at roguemedianetwork.com. Please subscribe, but only rate and review for not a 1-star review. Join us each time for a new review and a new story.
Anyways, they're going to all these events together, and then aside from doing the things with her 2 moms, she's not allowed to do anything else. She's not allowed to go out with her friends. She literally goes to school and then she goes to work and she works at Subway. So they're very strict. Well, more and more things start to happen that kind of make her uncomfortable. So, for example, Sarah and Jen took the girl to the department store that they work for, and they're like, we're gonna take you to get a makeover, and the girl's like, I'm kind of like a tomboy, I don't want a makeover, and they insisted, and she has to go do it anyway. So she's like, oh my gosh, they're making me do this stuff.
Okay.
Obviously they thought she was ugly. So there's another time where they go to a football game, and they all bring footballs, and they want to get these footballs signed by a player. Well, Jen has her favorite player who she wants to get her football signed by. Well, the girl is the one who gets her football signed by that exact guy. And then Jen did not like it. Jen was pissed. Goodness. And Jen said, or the girl later when she's talking to the Seattle Times, she says that it turns into this huge fiasco, and that Jen was accusing her of that she did it on purpose and that she was being a brat. And then Jen gave her like the silent treatment for several days. So she just ignored her.
What? That's ridiculous.
Stupid. Yes. There's yeah. So in early 2006, the Harts make this big decision that they want to adopt children.
Okay.
So they include their foster daughter in on the decision, and they're like, how do you like the sound of you being like an older sister and blah, blah, blah. And she's excited, and they're all excited and whatever. So they eventually decide on two sets of siblings, yeah, that come available for adoption. So Jen and Sarah go to Texas. They come to Texas. That's where they get these kids. They're all from Texas. So they get, they come, they meet the kids. And then in late February, 1 week before the kids are supposed to be placed in the Hart's home, Jen and Sarah take their foster daughter to a therapy appointment. And while she's in this therapy appointment, she finds out from her therapist that she's being moved to a new foster home.
Oh, and they leave her there.
So she's driven to the new foster home by like the therapist or you know, by them, somebody.
Jennifer's controlling, and she didn't fit her whatever mold of what she thought a daughter should be.
So she's driven to the new foster home. She gets there, and her stuff is already there. Yes.
That's so
she
sad.
Never sees Jen and Sarah again.
Lucky for her.
I know. So when they're later asking the foster daughter, or when Jen and Sarah were asked why they gave up the daughter, and they started telling people that she dug through the trash, and that she was suicidal, and she was threatening it, and that they didn't want her negative energy to impact the children. But according to this now adult foster child, in this interview, she says she has no idea why they did that. Like, none of those things were true, and that clearly they just wanted to give up on her so they could start over with this brand new family, just like you said.
Yeah.
So on March 4th, 2006, 3 children from Texas, which is Abigail, age 3, Hannah, age 4, and Marcus, age 8, are placed in the Hart's care. And 6 months later, the adoption is finalized. And during the first year, Jen and Sarah complete 15 hours of training. I guess you have to do foster care or adopted parents training. I don't know. So there's one training that's helping abused kids and care heal. And then another training called Racial Diversity Excitement, which trains people who are adopting children of different ethnicities to be proud of where they came from and who they are.
Yes, I have a friend that adopted kids from Africa, but they're white. And so you basically have to make a promise that you're going to keep the kids' culture in their life and still expose them and not totally, I guess, whitewash them.
Right. Yeah. So the caseworkers assigned to the Hart family reports that Jen and Sarah are great parents, and she recommends that they can adopt the second set of siblings.
Oh, God.
So in June 2008, they jump on it, and they adopt Devontae, age 6, Jeremiah, age 4, and Sierra, age 3.
There's never a reason to have that many kids, and it's always a red flag.
Yeah, like
nobody normal wants
Horatio or whatever her name is.
Melissa Lucio. Yes, she
12.
Wanted probably the food stamps and the TANF that came with them. These people wanted that foster care.
Yeah, because they work at department stores.
Yeah,
Like, how is that enough money to raise 6 kids? I mean, I don't know. There must be doing something that I don't know about, because I'm just raising myself.
And Parker and Jax.
And we don't go do anything. So these set of siblings have moved from Houston, and now they're all in Alexandria, Minnesota. So yes, they have 6 kids now. So Devontae, Jeremiah, and Sarah, the most recent ones, their mom had addiction issues, and they were living with their aunt. Well, their mom wasn't legally allowed to see them. But one day, a caseworker does a checkup, and the caseworker comes over, and the mom is there. So apparently the aunt had been letting the mom visit, and then of course the 3 children get taken away from the aunt.
Oh, one strike only?
One strike.
Wow.
Yeah. Awful. So in 2009, same-sex marriage becomes legal in certain states. I think I might have said that it came legal earlier, but no, it becomes legal now. And so Jen and Sarah go to Connecticut, where they get married.
So before she just changed her name.
But yeah, before I guess she just changed her name.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now they can officially
get married. 2009.
Okay.
So they announce, not only do they get married, then they announce that Sarah is trying to get pregnant via a donor.
Oh God. I would think it was harder to adopt.
Once again, how do you have money to do this? If you're doing a donor,
it's expensive to do.
Is that you're trying to get somebody's sperm put into your thing?
Unless they're turkey basting. I have 2 lesbian friends that actually did a real turkey baster. It didn't work.
What? Wait, you suck something up?
Yes.
Needless to say, it didn't work.
Did not work.
Wait, they tried to get somebody else's sperm?
Uh-huh.
They broke up. Well, we probably should have seen that one coming. Oh, hell. So, unfortunately, Sarah does not get pregnant.
Good.
But that's probably fortunate at this point. So, they would never have biological children, which, like I said, I don't know how they would have afforded that anyway. So back in Minnesota, Sarah has the job. She's the manager at the department store. And now Jen becomes a stay-at-home mom. Poor kids.
Oh.
So yeah, now there's just one of them working. So this is why I'm extra confused. So.
But they're officially adopting them. It's not foster care, right?
Correct.
Full adoption.
Yes.
I don't understand either.
So I think on the documentary I watched that they said something about they were getting money from an agency for something. Okay. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but if anybody out there listening knows, just let me know.
Could be, but that's why people are going to other countries to adopt, because it's supposed to be so hard to adopt here.
Well, they apparently
in America.
had no trouble.
Maybe this is why it's so hard now.
Hopefully.
They screwed it up for everybody.
Yeah. And CPS. That's terrible. So to everyone, like friends, coworkers, neighbors, it just appears that this Hart family, they just have it all. I mean, they're just, they take their kids everywhere. They do things. They go hiking. They go camping. They grow their own food.
Trying to do too much.
They're loving. Just wait. They advocate for acceptance and unity, and they are peace and love everywhere. And people are seeing aspects of their life because guess what? Jen is very active on social media. And this is about the time that Facebook becomes really big, and she is Facebook queen.
Oh, I bet. I bet she homeschools them next, because that's always red flag number 2 to me. Does she homeschool them?
She might.
Red flag number 2.
I think we're on our 3rd red flag. I don't remember the second one.
Okay.
So she's constantly posting videos, posting pictures, all the activities, all the different things they do. And they call themselves the Hart tribe. And they look like the model of a progressive 21st century family, 2 white lesbian mothers that adopted 6 black kids.
The Modern Family.
Yeah. I mean, but guess what, April? In September 2008, a teacher at the kids' school notices, here we go, that on now 6-year-old Hannah has bruises on her arm, and the teacher asks her what the bruises are from, and Hannah says that her mom whipped her with a belt. So ultimately, there's no charges that are filed, but Jen and Sarah pulled all the kids out of school and homeschooled them for the next year. But wait, it gets worse. The next school year, so the following school year, 2009, Jen and Sarah put the kids back into school.
Okay.
So they kept you out for a little bit. They're like, oh, let's clear up these bruises. Now we got you back into school. It's November 2010. And now 7-year-old Abigail tells her teachers that she has owies on her back and on her stomach. And she tells them that her mom, Jen, held her head underwater while punching her and hitting her because Abigail had a penny and Jen thought she stole this penny.
Oh my gosh, Jen is psycho.
Psycho.
And Sarah's even more psycho for not even realizing how psycho Jen is.
Well, in this one, it's Sarah holding her under the water.
Oh, it was Sarah.
So
Sarah held her under the water because Jen saw the penny and accused her of stealing it.
Yeah, so Sarah probably had to do that, but yeah. So the teachers report it and the authorities interview the kids. They all report having been spanked and having food withheld from them. Probably because they don't have any food.
That's probably why that other girl was digging in the trash can.
That's probably why. And so, and being grounded, these are all the punishments. When authorities interview Jen and Sarah, Sarah takes all the blame. Sarah takes everything. She took the last name. She takes the strap on. She takes the blame. So
take.
So in 2011, she pleads guilty to misdemeanor domestic assault, and she gets a year of community service. Okay. So despite all of this, the children basically say that Jen is the abusive one. And of course, she takes no responsibility for anything.
Of course.
But she's wearing the strap on, so why should she? So later that year, Hannah, who was the one earlier with the bruises on her arm, got whipped with the belt. She complains to the school nurse that she's hungry. She hasn't been fed all day.
Wow.
The nurse calls Sarah, who tells her Hannah is playing the, quote, food card and to just give her water. I never played no food card.
I mean, what's wrong with letting her eat something?
I don't know.
Why didn't the nurse just give her any food anyways? The nurse is an idiot.
I hope the nurse gave her at least a granola bar or something. Come on, give that girl Snickers. With some Cheetos? I'd be fine with a ding dong. I don't care.
Man.
Just give her some water. So, yes. For the second time, Jen and Sarah pull the kids out of school.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's our 18th red flag.
Mm-hmm.
So the Hart children are now homeschooled, and they will never return to school again after this. So now we have these 6 Hart children who have been totally isolated from any outside influences and to anyone that could notice any abuse that they were like subjected to.
Of course.
Yep. So in 2013, the Harts leave Minnesota, and now guess what? They're moving. So what else do you do?
Another red flag.
Moving 1,500 miles away to West Lynn, Oregon, which is near a suburb of Portland.
Okay.
So they keep up their peace and love appearances.
Do they have a big van?
Yukon.
Okay.
So like a Suburban.
Yeah.
They raise goats and chickens. So they got meat. They don't give it to the kids. And they're raising these animals in the backyard of their rental house.
Do they have those little stickers on the back of their Suburban?
Probably with
like
all
mama, yes. And then all the little kids.
Yes, I guaranteed. It's guaranteed.
That drives me crazy.
It's terrible.
I want to run into the back of every car that has that.
Because they always say that that's a way to like get your kids taken from you if people know how many kids that you have.
Oh, she's got 4 kids I can traffic.
Yeah. Great. I mean, you follow her for a couple
Plus,
weeks.
nobody cares how many kids you have.
And I mean, that's a lot of stickers.
Yeah.
That would impede my driving.
It drives me crazy.
I don't know what's impede.
That's a big word.
I know. I'm so smart today. So peace and love, raising chickens, raising goats. The Harts are attending all these festivals. So they become like well known at these festivals. So they're like granola, yoga, like
I hate them.
hippie.
Crunchy, real crunchy.
Yes, they probably don't wear any makeup. You know, they probably smell a little bit natural deodorant.
No deodorant.
I mean, listen, if you want to wear that natural deodorant with no aluminum or whatever it is, like give me all that aluminum. I'm not trying to stink, but if you want to stink and not wash your hair, you know what? That's fine.
It's fine.
You can sit far away, but you know, peace and love. So they have these. Some of these festivals are like multi-day festivals, and they're like togetherness and yoga and music, and it's a social, just this big social appearance, this atmosphere. And the Hart children are always seen like singing and dancing at these events, you know. Well, over the years, Jen like carefully has like curated this social media presence that just portrayed her family as just, they're important to the social cause. They're happy, they're healthy, and they're just this tribe that can never be broken apart, you know? And these pictures are like, they're really good. And like, she's just getting, people are always commenting on them, and because they're really like good quality, like well lit pictures.
Yeah.
So it's believable.
Okay.
So they go to one of these festivals, and this is some sort of like yoga retreat type of a festival. And of course, this is documented all over Facebook. And there's one video that was also in this documentary I watched. And this documentary is called Broken Harts. It's on Hulu, and it's also a podcast called Broken Harts.
And it's all about them?
The podcast is like several episodes. It's like a series.
Oh, yeah.
So this festival is called the Beloved Festival. Okay. Peace and love, peace and love. It's basically a video. A video gets taken, and this video like foreshadows the viral photo that's coming next year. So remember, at the beginning of the story is when I talked about Devontae's photo. Yeah. That was all happened later, like right now. So this video is, there's this guy on stage and he's singing, and Devontae is wearing a zebra like outfit, like a zebra costume, and he is like runs up to the stage. I kind of want to show you a little bit of it. Okay, as it's playing, let me explain to you what's happening. Okay, so this guy is chanting. Yeah. So he's like chanting. He's on stage. He's like crossed legs, and he has no shirt on. So Devontae goes up to him. The crowd is cheering. They're like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" And he goes up to him, and Devontae hugs the guy as the guy's performing, and he's just chants the same thing over and over. And the guy hugs. They hug each other, and Devontae doesn't let go.
He's like bawling, crying. Is he saying, "Help me"?
I don't know. So the guy singing starts to like grabs his head, pulls his head to his chest, like kind of rubbing on the back of his head, like embracing him. And at first it's like endearing, and then it kind of gets to where it's like a little upsetting, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like you could tell that Devontae's not letting go. He's like hugging this. This lasts for about 2 minutes, and they start looking at each other like they're like staring into each other's eyes at one point, and it's like it's almost like Devontae's trying to tell him something through his eyes, because then the guy's looking at it's like you can like see the guy singing like what are you trying to tell me? I don't know. That's just kind of what I.
And he's not even singing words, so it's not like the words like, could get to him.
Mama, hey, mama, oh.
That sounds like Are they Buddhist?
I don't know. So I said it's like real yoga, granola, festival type of thing. But he's gripping this guy so hard. He doesn't know this guy. And I mean, it's probably like knowing what the whole story, knowing what we know. Like you can kind of look at it a different way. But it's just like kind of shocking. And also he has in the back of his head is shaved the word love, and he has like on the sides there was like hearts that were shaved on the sides of his heads. So he's like in this full-on zebra costume with a tail. He has his head shaved, words in his head, so it's obviously like they're trying to get attention from it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And so this is, like I said earlier, this family was known at these festivals, and they would have put on this like presentation. This is like they're in their element, but it's almost like they're trying to parade their kids around, you know, and they're like, there's this other photo with Jen, and she has Devontae on her shoulders, and he has on his free hug sign. And it's just like, look at us, look at our kids, and give us attention.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not about, no.
Clap at us, be proud of us.
Yes.
Look what we did.
Yes.
We saved these black kids from their horrible black parents.
Yep. But in reality and behind the scenes, like, they're living a nightmare.
Poor kids.
So eventually, the neighbors of Jen and Sarah start to become a little skeptical. Because they are surprised at how small the children seemed for their ages. And they notice that like the kids are never playing outside, they're never being loud. They just don't seem like six normal young kids. I mean, you have one kid and it's like enough.
Yeah.
Imagine 6. So some people started to see through their like fakeness and alerted the authorities. So one person ended up calling the Oregon Department of Human Services in 2013 and said that the kids pose and are made to look like one big happy family, but after the photo they go back to looking lifeless. And somebody else said that they look underfed and very small for their age. Another one said that they look like trained robots. And another one said that they appear to be scared to death of Jen.
And that's why they got rid of that old girl and they got younger kids, because she was already too old that you couldn't train them like your little pets.
But guess what? When Child Protective Services went to interview Jen and Sarah, they said it was bigotry. And that people are prejudiced, and that they don't understand their modern family dynamic, and they don't like the fact that they're lesbians and that they have a family. And then when the kids are interviewed on how they feel about their home life, they tell the social workers that they're happy, but their expressions are lifeless and they don't seem happy at all.
Oh.
So Child Service closed the case.
Of course.
Because there's no evidence.
I mean, they're better off with these 2 white women than they would be with their mama, right?
Or their aunt, who was perfectly fine.
Their aunt.
2 years later is when Devontae's photo goes viral. So all of this happened leading up to that year of the protest.
And he was crying with the cop too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So this photo becomes like national attention, and it's much more attention than Jen and Sarah wanted, surprisingly, because they seem to have wanted all this attention, but they don't want that much attention. And Devontae gets offers to be a guest on like TV shows, and but
they don't let him.
They don't let him because at this time Jen is saying that they're getting death threats. I mean, this is what Jen is saying. She then also says that she wants to protect her son's privacy. But I'm going to put him all over Facebook and social media.
Yeah.
But I want to protect his privacy. And she even took a hiatus for 6 months from social media. What a good job. But you know what? In spring of 2017, she was back on social media. And guess what? They moved again.
I hate her.
And this time they moved to Woodland, Washington. Apparently it's a very rural area. And their new neighbors were a couple named Bruce and Dana DeKalb. The DeKalbs were excited about their new neighbors. They were like, hey, this is going to be great. New neighbors. And then
nobody's excited. They're lying. Nobody's excited about 6 kids moving next to you.
I feel like they were like older and they were just maybe like, oh, this will be fun to have neighbors.
I'd be even more pissed if I was older and 6 kids moved next to me.
They didn't even notice because they found out that nobody comes outside. They said that they never leave their house, that they're always inside with the blinds drawn. Mm-hmm. So they are like what my mom thinks that I am, sitting in a dark house. I'm not sitting in a dark house. My blinds are always open.
And your candles are lit.
And I sit outside. And I go to the baseball fields in the park.
Yes.
I'd be doing things. Hell, she don't even know who came over last night. Just kidding. So then a couple of months go by. It's August, and at 1:30 in the morning, the DeKalbs get a knock on their door. It's Hannah Hart. She says she just jumped out of the second story window of their house, and her 2 front teeth were missing. So,
because when she fell, she hit him. Oh,
well, so they think that she's 6 or 7 years old. She's 14.
Oh my gosh. Hannah.
14. And then this is the one with the bruises on the arm. This is the one. They keep bringing up Hannah. She must have just been she's trying to tell so many people. And so she's frantic and she's asking for protection. And she is like, don't make me go back there. They're racist and they abuse us. And she's telling this to the DeKalbs. Well, she begs and begs and begs for them to take her to Seattle. But even before they could figure out what's even going on, because they're just so confused, they're like, we don't ever see these people. Jen and Sarah show up at the front door.
At the neighbors. Oh, God.
Yep. Do I need to pause?
No, I just need to see what they look like.
Which ones?
All the kids, yeah.
It's Hart. Oop. I'm going to make sure they don't play. I got one. Look.
And they're all matching. They're matching in this one too.
So apparently, so Jen and Sarah show up at the front door and they ask, Jen asks to speak to Hannah privately. So they go upstairs in a separate room. And then they eventually come downstairs and then they all leave. And then the next day, the 3 of them come back and they've made Hannah write an apology letter to them. And they explained that Hannah's bipolar.
Oh, gosh.
And that she was upset because her cat died. And that she knocked her own teeth out in an accidental fall.
Okay. Come on, red flags. Too many.
So apparently, Jen was telling people that all the kids were drug babies. And so that's why they were difficult.
Uh-huh.
So anytime people were suspicious about anything that was going on, that was her like go-to response.
Drug babies.
Drug babies. Later, the DeKalbs, the neighbors, excuse me. What's happening? They ended up telling the New York Times that Jen was just so convincing, and they just bought it. She was so convincing, and
they usually are.
Yeah.
And who really cares about these little black kids anyways? I mean,
right.
They're in good hands with these 2 white women.
So this still left a really terrible feeling.
Good neighbors.
Yes. So anytime that those neighbors would try to talk to the kids, if they saw them I don't know where they would see them, but if they ever were to talk to them, the kids would not speak back to them. Oh, man. I know.
They weren't allowed to.
So then 6 months later, Devontae, who's now 15 years old, he goes up to the DeKalb's front door, and he starts asking for food. They give him food. Devontae's like nervous and he's like, please don't tell my parents. Please don't tell my parents. And they're like, assure him, like, we're not going to tell anybody. Like, don't worry. Like, it's fine. He visits them like weekly for food. It's a weekly occurrence. He gives them a wish list of food. It's staples. It's like peanut butter, bread, like basic stuff.
Yeah.
And he then asked them if they would leave groceries in a box, a hidden box by the fence, so his moms would not catch him.
So sad.
I was like, at what point do these DeKalbs, like, I feel like that's pretty...
That's some evidence, good evidence to call again.
So this goes on for a little while, and finally the DeKalbs they're completely torn because they know the kids need help. Then on finally on March 23rd, 2018, they call Child Protective Services. When a caseworker shows up to the Harts' house for a home check, no one answers. And the next day, the DeKalbs notice that the Harts family Yukon is not in the driveway. On the same day, Sarah's coworkers get a text from her saying that she's sick and she won't be able to come into work tomorrow. 2 days later, on the morning of Sunday, March 25th, Jen Hart is captured on security footage in a Safeway in Fort Bragg, California. And she's buying groceries. And this is the last time anyone will see her alive. Monday, May 26, 2018, California police get a call around 3:38 p.m. from a German tourist passing through Mendocino County on Highway 1. And she reports seeing an upside-down SUV at the bottom of a cliff.
Oh, my goodness.
When officers arrive on the scene, they find the bodies of Jen Hart in the driver's seat, Sarah Hart wedged between the smashed roof and the rear seats. A search of the crash site continued for 3 weeks, and during that time, the remains of 3 kids, Marcus, 19.
What?
Jeremiah, 14, and Abigail, 14, are all found near the SUV. The body of 12-year-old Sierra is found on the beach north of the crash site. It takes them a year to find Hannah's body. And in May 2018, they finally do find skeletal remains of her. Yeah, when they find her body. Of Hannah. And they have to have her biological mother come to do like a DNA test. How horrible.
Wow.
So guess who's left?
Devontae.
Where's Devontae? So, and at this point, they don't know if this is like an accident. They don't know if like nobody can find Devontae. Like what really happened?
Yeah.
Was it like somebody kidnapped him and then they drove him off I don't know. So, Devontae's body's never recovered.
What?
The crash is initially thought to be an accident, but the investigators noticed there are no skid marks at the scene or any indications that Jen tried to stop the car in any way. Then where does it talk about where it is found? Then they do a toxicology report, and it comes back showing that Jen was drunk at the time of the crash. Jen doesn't drink. She had the equivalent of 5 beers. So if you never drink, well, I guess you get drunk on 5 beers.
I was going to say that's...
And that Sarah had, at least 2 of the kids had diphenhydramine in their system, which is the active ingredient in Benadryl.
Okay. She put him to sleep.
Which causes drowsiness. Sarah's phone records are recovered, and this is when they know that it was not an accident because she had recently Google searched, how easily can I overdose on over-the-counter medication? She also Googled, can 500 milligrams of Benadryl kill a 125-pound woman? And she also Googled, how long does it take to die from hypothermia while drowning in a car?
Sarah or Jen?
Sarah was Googling this while Jen was driving.
So Sarah... So they were both just tag teaming and planning this. They were both okay. I was wondering if Jen was really the mastermind.
I think Jen was, but like Sarah was kind of like under a spell. She was the accomplice and she was okay with it. She just didn't want to be like
alone,
the main bully or something. I don't know.
I hate Sarah even more. She could have saved them all.
So
whatever happened,
Googles all these things.
Yeah.
Then they realized that they fully knew what they were doing because the car had like the little, black box, the little computer thing that you can recover from like an airplane that like tells you like the mechanical things that are happening at the car. Well, it shows that the speed of the car was going at 90 miles an hour. So basically they're driving along the road and she probably just like stops, turns and points the car to the cliff, and let's say it's, I don't know how far away from like the edge of the road, but she just floors it.
Oh my goodness.
And then flies and it's water right there over the cliff, and they just land
upside down.
Yeah.
And they're just all,
and so
I hope they suffered the most.
And there was no use of the brakes whatsoever. So Jen got drunk. She worked up the courage to do this, and then Sarah and the kids took a bunch of Benadryl so they would be asleep or drowsy, and then Jen drove off a cliff and killed her family in a murder-suicide.
Wow.
So, like...
Filicide.
How, like...
Why? Who, what? I don't... These weren't even you. You could have just gave them back. But people thought she was so amazing. She could not take the bad looks, the bad reputation. She was doing that to save herself, really.
She was making a good reputation at first.
Yeah, but now if she gave the kids back and all this came out, she would look like shit in the news. She would...
You know what?
She'd be exposing herself.
Also,
so she'd rather be dead.
In this podcast or in the documentary, they talked about how they found like all this evidence that Jen, while she would be at home, she spent like hours and hours and hours a day on the computer, like on one of those like games. Like she would play this like, and it was like a community. So there's the guy that's in the documentary, and he's like, he like knew her, like they talked all the time. Like you're in this, I don't know if you're collecting stuff. Yeah. Like this virtual world. And he's like, I had no idea she had kids and knew all this stuff about her, but had no idea she had kids, had a family. 'Cause you're just always on this game.
Wow.
And just the amount of time she spent on it. It's like, It was just, that just added to a little bit of the strangeness. I don't know if she was like making money off of it, because sometimes I guess you can do that. I don't know. But it's clear that all they wanted to do was want to look good in front of these people and make themselves look good. And then they wanted to isolate the kids.
And they couldn't fathom the thought of them looking bad. So they'd rather just all die.
And that is the story of, and how crazy is it that it was Devontae who she obviously did, she thrusted him out there. Or he was the one that she would kept like, I don't know, she just liked him more. And
where's Devontae?
And then of all of them, his body was never found.
His body was never found.
That is the story about Devontae Hart and those crazy lesbian Jen and Sarah who murdered
all the kids,
their kids,
all these innocent kids.
Maybe
Devontae had enough and he drove their ass off a cliff and walked away.
What if he did?
My mind is horrible. He would have saved his brothers and sisters.
Yeah, well, I can't believe that the kids, like the adult. No, I do remember that they were super like seatbelt, and none of them had seatbelts on.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe so they could get out. So surely they couldn't get out of the car, but.
Oh, I'm sure they were like, oh, they don't know how to swim. Let's do it in water.
But it was so shallow. mean, it was like probably the whole car was not submerged.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they just wanted them to have flown out. I don't know. I don't know what the point of it is.
No, can't even make it make sense. Oh, there's y'all's first story.
There's your first one.
You had 2. You gave us 2 for 1. 2 crazy mamas.
Yeah.
2 for 1.
And it was pretty.
That was a good story.
It was a good story, and it was
quick. Look, I get to make it to my place. Y'all, story number 1. Happy Mother's Day.
Oh my gosh. Is that this weekend?
I think next.
Or last weekend? I don't know. We're a week late.
Next. No. This weekend's the Cinco de Mayo party.
Oh, yeah.
And then I think the next weekend's Mother's Day. But, okay.
Well, for Mother's Day, you should give your mother the gift of Bloody Happy Hour. And
send her this episode.
Share the podcast, like it, subscribe to it, review us, rate us.
Yes. We'll see you next week for another story I haven't picked.
Also,
yet.
and on the episodes, you can check the show notes. Like on Spotify, you click the little dots and click more. And we have if there's videos that we have, we'll post links to the videos there or different links to articles. And we also have a link to our email and our happy hour fund.
Oh yes, happy hour fund. I wasn't even drinking this time because I was rushing. So, but I'm about to go start right now.
Are you Russian?
I was Russian.
And I don't think you're allowed to be Russian.
Okay, y'all.
Vladimir. I think every Russian person's named Vladimir.
Is it really?
I don't know. They're all Vladimir this, Vladimir that, Vladimir, Waldorf.
We will see y'all next week. Don't forget to
stay aware.
Stay alive.
And always be DTF.
Bye, y'all.
Bye.
The Hart family's teacher should have been more DTF.
I mean, they probably tried as hard as they could.
That nurse should have been more DTF.
Hey.
Bye, y'all.
This has been a Rogue Media podcast.